Peg and to Cass and to everyone who's helped with the series and the production of the books. Really can't thank you all enough. I mean, it's been a great experience, and also such an honor to be published with Louise and Sarah and everyone else. I should say, I have skimmed close to California. I have flown over California. This is my first time in California. And I couldn't ask for a nicer introduction, so thank you. This evening, I'd like to read from the title story and final story of the collection, Unnatural Habitats. Leighton buzzes over his 3-acre lot, the riding mower knocked into high gear. He loves this mower, which he bought mostly for its cool-looking roll bar. His wife told him to get one with a canopy. Sheila tells him to wear a hat, too, because his hair is thinning at the crest of his head, but hats are for pussies. So are canopies. The mower is black with yellow stripes, like a sweat bee, and was the most expensive model on the floor at Lowe's. He paid for it with his debit card, shielding his fingers from the customers in line behind him while he punched in the pin. There are wolves all around, and he can't be too careful. This is a fact he learned the hard way when his old business partner betrayed him. It was Gary, he was sure, who'd had him hunted down like an animal in the dark and beaten nearly to death. He hadn't gotten a good look at his attackers that night, and in his memory, he doesn't see blurs of men's faces or arms or the rough weapons they used to bring him down, but only the color of the pain, the blows replaying in his mind in bursts of red, purple, and green. But that was years ago, and his life has changed since then. He lives now in a subdivision of garishly overbuilt houses designed to evoke what the developer calls a unique tradition of Southern glamour and grace. He thinks they look like the red brick fraternity house he lived in for 2 years. The house's thick white columns a nod to some antebellum fantasy. His neighbors are businessmen and bankers or big honchos at Tyson, Arkansas's new rich, and like him, bought there mostly for the size of the houses, a required minimum of 6,000 square feet, rather than the architecture. But unlike him, none of his neighbors have any interest in mowing their own lawns. They hire the job out, and several times a week, a small army of brown-skinned laborers descend on the subdivision. They skim across the zoysia on stand-up mowers, whipping them under their boots like surfboards, filling the air with gas fumes. When the laborers finish mowing, they march over the hilly acres with trimmers and blowers, their mouths and noses hidden behind brightly colored bandanas. Banditos, he calls them. If he wanted, he could hire his own crew of banditos, but he considers his ride time on the sweat bee a necessary moment of solitude when he can indulge in a fat joint without disruption, the smoke drifting up and over his head and beyond the boundaries of the subdivision. Over the growl of the mower, he hears his children scream as they jump off the diving board into the pool. His oldest son, Elijah, appears to be drowning one of the younger kids. The water is roiling, 2 hands thrashing above the surface. Elijah's shaggy brown hair drips over his eyes so that all Leighton can see of his face is a mean grin. He waves at him and shakes his head, no. Elijah ducks into the water, and the drowning child bursts up, gasping for breath, and punches him in the side of the head. Leighton drives on, steering the mower near his eastern neighbor's property. Though the green space between houses is supposed to be left open, a few months earlier the couple petitioned for special permission to install a wrought iron fence with spear-like points at the top, dividing their property from his. They're old, the man and woman, and spend their days on the golf course behind the houses, the electric green grass ending at a steep ravine. Leighton doesn't play golf and doesn't appreciate the balls that so often land in his yard. Elmo, his Bichon Frise, once managed to get one stuck in its mouth, so he had to wedge his fingers between his jaws to pry it out. Elmo is not a smart dog, the last of the pack Sheila used to breed when they lived on a small farm near the Missouri state line. Ahead of him lies another white ball, and he speeds up and runs over it. The ball pings against one of the points of the speared fence. This is when he sees them. The old man stands there in his aqua blue Bermudas, white socks pulled up over his ankles, his wife beside him. She's too thin, but Leighton can tell she had been beautiful once, probably even hot. What remains of her younger self hasn't left her the way it does most women, who seem to dissolve within themselves as they age, any beauty disappearing beneath rolls of belly fat and teased-up Brillo pads of hair. Her hair is cut in an elegant bob, the color of ice. He doesn't dislike the couple, but he's fairly sure they are not in love with him or his family. Still, they haven't been aggressive toward him. They haven't reported the extra storage shed he built, strictly forbidden under subdivision bylaws, or even the young deer he captured and kept as a pet for the kids until it died for no reason at all. Nearing them, he smiles and offers a kind of salute, but they don't respond. Maybe they don't see him. Closer, he waves again, but it's as if the couple is posing for a picture. The woman's flamingo pink sarong flutters against her legs. He puts the mower in park, slides his sunglasses onto the top of his head and squints his eyes, the joint clamped tightly between his front teeth. He takes one long, last draw and holds the smoke in his lungs, an extra count of 3 before he exhales, tossing the stub on the lawn. Near the neighbor's pool, he sees it. The cat laid out beneath a chaise lounge, thick forearms stretched in front of her. The bob of her tail twitches. "Hey," he says, but the old couple's eyes are fixed on the bobcat, a stare they don't break even while he opens the gate and slowly steps toward the patio. "You want me to get her?" They remain frozen. Fuck, she's not a goddamn cheetah. He would have said this out loud when he was younger, but he's learned you can keep some thoughts to yourself, a lesson that has improved his business, which has in turn made the house and the pool and the fancy subdivision possible. His wife is thrilled to be a resident of the estates at Devil's Den, and maybe would have thought laughable had it not been for the word devil. That part he secretly thinks appropriate. It's really all right to move. She isn't a grizzly bear, you know, just a bobcat. Bobby's a pet. Still, wild. The old man speaks, trying not to move his lips so that he looks and sounds like a bad ventriloquist. "Listen," says Layton, "I've got children. What kind of dad would keep a wild animal around his own kids?" Bobby is supposed to stay in her pen at all times. If the kids want to play with her, they have to go inside the pen too and close the latch behind them. To keep a bobcat as a pet, he's supposed to have a permit with the county, but he never bothered with it. She belonged first to Gary, and all her original paperwork is still in his name. Layton did not want to explain how he'd come to have the cat himself. Besides, he thinks the paperwork for animals and houses and cars is almost certainly a violation of his rights as an American citizen, and as long as nobody gets all pissy about the cat and calls the sheriff, why does it matter? He bends down and looks under the chaise lounge, snaps his finger at the cat. She blinks, sleepy in the heat, and turns her face away. He slips 2 fingers beneath her orange mesh collar and gives a tug. She's old for a bobcat, but strong, and she somehow makes her body heavier than it is and growls, a warning rumbling from her chest. "You better be careful." The old man is still being a ventriloquist. The cat's body tightens as Layton drags her to him, her claws scraping against the bricks. "Fine, motherfucker," he whispers. "Make it hard for me." He takes the beach towel draped over the lounger and scoots closer to the cat. "Here." He offers her his hand for her to sniff. She refuses to budge. He picks Bobby up off the ground by the collar, and she begins to fight him, claws pushing out of the pads of her toes. He swallows her in the towel and presses her to his chest. He checks out his frozen neighbors. The man glares at him, his eyes watery from not blinking for so long. He will definitely call the sheriff.